But we are also seeing, millennials really lean into the technology. A Harris poll indicated that 32% of millennials currently use AR compared to, 14% of Gen Xers and 6% of baby boomers. So again, multi-generational, but Gen Z, I would say, is like the hero in this story.
Welcome to Brands in Play, the podcast where we explore immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. I'm Alban Priou, Insights and Partnership Director at Geek.
And I'm Nick Hill, co-founder and chief innovation officer at Sawhorse.
This week on the show, Roblox and Google announced a very exciting partnership for rewarded ads, IAB Play fronts, dating inside video game, and the Minecraft movie is coming out.
And later, we speak to Tom Emrich, author of the new book, The Next Dimension. It's all about how marketers should be thinking about augmented reality and spatial computing. So let's get into it.
Let's go.
Alban, we're back for another episode.
We are back. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How about you? How was your week?
It was really good. How was yours, Nick?
It was good. Busy as always, and super stoked because the Webbies were just announced, and Sawhorse was nominated for 3 Webbies, and we got 1 honorable mention. So we got nominated for Wicked on Roblox, Beetlejuice on Roblox, and Walmart Realm, and then Burberry on Roblox got an honorable mention. So super excited about that.
You are absolutely smashing this. It's like all of your projects are like nominated. This is incredible.
Well, yeah, thank you. We take the award season very seriously. It's a huge effort by a lot of people to put those projects together and do those submissions properly.
Yeah. Exactly. No, congrats, guys. This is I can't wait to see what comes out of it. But yeah, massive congrats.
Thank you. And one other thing, I was super stoked because the Sinners project on Fortnite got an official Epic Picks. So that was the first time we've received that.
Oh my God.
So that's where, the game gets identified and kind of shown to everybody on the main menu, which is awesome because it's really helps with discovery and drives traffic to your projects.
It's huge. I mean, we know, Fortnite is not always, like, as you said, it's not the easiest for discovery. So being picked by Epic, it's you're at the very top of the thumbnail of the homepage. So like you can't get more visibility than that. This is massive. A win-win-win this week for you guys.
Big honor, and feeling pretty good. But what about you? What'd you get into this week?
So this week, very excited that we had Adweek London that was happening. So Charles, our CEO, was speaking at a panel. So really insightful, and it was great to see him on stage again. And other than that, just busy, like continuing more the usual of work day in, day out. But really excited to have at least some kind of events. I feel like all of the events are in LA or in the US.
Yeah, Adweek is an awesome event. I got to attend the one in New York at the end of last year. So yeah, hopefully there's more opportunities to go in the future.
Absolutely. I really love those events. But without further ado, let's jump onto the next segment. Let's go to the news.
To the news. So my first story comes from Forbes. It's an article that was written by Kathy Hackle talking about dating inside of video games. And basically talking about how Gen Z and Gen A are spending more time on social platforms and immersive platforms, as we know. And just the reality of if you're spending the majority of your time in these places, that's where you're going to meet people for the first time. That's where you're going to develop friendships, potentially romantic relationships. And kind of she's making the argument that like gaming is potentially the new matchmaker. And it just reminded me of when I was listening to the keynote at the Roblox Developer Conference last year, where the CEO, Dave Baszucki, was talking about how he sees a world where the Roblox platform will be used for dating in the future. All this sounds very crazy, right? But when you actually think about it, it kind of makes sense if you look at it from a younger lens. What do you think?
There's been online relationship that happened through social media in the past. So I don't see why those new social platforms would be different. Whether this is going to be a new matchmaking, the same as like those dating apps that are quite popular, like Hinge, Bumble, etc., don't know. But I can completely see how people are building relationship, and then it becomes romantic relationship in those spaces as well. So not surprise, no surprise there. I think also, like you mentioned it before, like I think World of Warcraft was kind of the first game to be known as creating romantic relationship, people getting married in the game. So I'm not really surprised that this is also going to happen on Roblox and other social platforms.
What else do you have?
So mine, completely different, very different story, but Roblox and Google have announced a really exciting partnership. And this is really changing the game when it comes to media buying within the platform. So I do have my notes because there's so much. I will try to keep it short, but there's so much that this partnership now implies for brands, but also for their agencies. But to keep it, condensed, essentially what you will be able to do now is buy rewarded ads, which is a new format. So when a player is looking at an ad within Roblox, they will also receive some kind of rewards that is associated with the experience that they are seeing the ads into. But most importantly, there's two ways now that you can buy those ads. One is programmatically, so through a Google advertising solution. And the other one is direct buying. So like that's direct insertion orders. So super easy again to buy. And there's already some stats that Roblox has released about the efficiency of these ads. Again, because there is an exchange of value that you can't have on YouTube or Instagram. When you serve an ad, I don't get anything in return, just to be able to see the content that I wanted to see to begin with. It's more like a blockage than a reward. Here, because of the exchange of value, is you watch my ad, I give you something in return. But the completion rate is over 80%. And for some experiences, it's actually exceeding 90%, which is massive for any kind of ad content that we will see on any other social platform. And then the last thing that they have announced, again, another super exciting, just a scalability essentially for the platform to be able to sell ads more easily to agencies and to brands. But they will also connect with SSPs and DSPs through Google authorized buyer solution. So again, it's going to become a lot easier for agencies and brands to be able to buy ad placements within the platform, and they also are going to roll out other formats in the future. So super excited about that. What did you think about this announcement?
Well, I love the concept of rewarded ads. I mean, that's a very new thing. I think
Yeah.
in the more traditional ad world, you never, like you said, you never get anything for getting through an ad. So I'm curious to see like how that will, actually materialize, and if the audience will want that or it will work. So definitely interested. But also, I think that when you run ads inside these immersive experiences, it's almost like not the best way to market, because I think what we've realized is when you build immersive experiences that are branded, you get such more deep engagement with the audience. So that running ads to me is like not as valuable. But I know that like if you need to do this at scale, you have to work with the system that already exists in the world, which is running traditional ads that are non-interactive, right?
I feel like they're really two different. There's really two different objectives on when a brand or an agency is going to leverage own world or integration or an ad.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's two different goals and that are served here. So, I think there's a place for all of it, and I think that we all are looking to find ways of finding that success with marketing. So, I think a lot is being thrown at the wall right now, and it's good. That's
Yeah.
my perspective.
The other thing that I didn't mention is that the experience owner as well, that they're going to be incentivized a lot more than previously when they have those ads on their experiences. So again, we're looking at the same ways as influencers are being rewarded when they are supporting ads messaging. I think it's quite good to also get more people to benefit from having brands onto the platform, and it's a little bit more distributed, those opportunities.
It's ultimately a good thing. So my next story is all about the IAB. They had the Playfronts event in New York this week, which is exciting. And for those that don't know, the IAB is the Interactive Advertising Bureau. It's basically a group of media companies, brands, agencies, and technology firms that are kind of pushing digital marketing forward. And at this event, it was very focused on gaming. So they had really cool companies there like Overwolf, Activision, Twitch, AdMazing, Super League. Roblox, etc. So all the people that are leading in, the advertising world within the gaming ecosystem were there talking about the best ways, the best practices, and all the trends that are happening right now. And a couple stats that I, picked up on there was, that there's 3 billion people in the world that are identifying as gamers,
Mhm.
which is a massive chunk of the world, our world. And also 70% of moms identify as gamers. I mean, that's like when I was growing up back in my day, like that, it was like 1%, so that you just see how much it's changed, right?
Absolutely. It's Candy Crush. It's
It's Candy
I
Crush,
think
yeah.
I think no, but not to say that everyone was playing Candy Crush, but I think that we forget that within like I think that's when people are saying that they're not gamers and you ask them, do you play any mobile games or like Candy Crush? And they're like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I also play like, I don't know, Sudoku or anything, but these are games. And I think that's what people like forget is that there's different layers of games, and I think that's why it's so important, like depending on who you're trying to target, to really choose the game that has that audience.
And I think what was cool too is that, that's what I like about the IAB is like they are working on standardizing the marketing world for gaming in the same way that Nielsen has done it with traditional advertising, creating all of these standard practices, these values. These are all like extremely important for moving this industry forward. So the IAB is like a big part of that. So that's why I like them. And there was another big trend coming out of the event this week, which I really responded to, which was like the type of immersive marketing you can do in these spaces is integrative, not interruptive,
Mhm.
you know, which I thought was really interesting. And that's a great way of looking at it is it's like, these are things that people want to do and they add value. So just coming out of that, I had FOMO. I wish I could have been there, but too much travel this year.
No, I really agree with your last point. It sounds like a really amazing like what they're doing. I think is really needed to be able to like help also brands understand what is the opportunity inside the space. So really great what they're doing with all of their partners.
What else you got?
Up next, well, it's a hot topic. I'm really excited to deep dive into that one. So it's the today officially the release date of Minecraft movie, and when the trailer launched, let's say that the comments were not the warmest, but it sounds like in between the launch of the trailer and now things have shifted a little bit, and it sounds like there's a little bit more of a positive approach towards the game. There are still very mixed reviews from gamers, some positive, some negative. What are your initial thoughts on the Minecraft movie?
I remember when the first trailer came out and all the insane hate that was going around the internet of like the whole community was like, this is horrible. They did a bad job on this. I didn't think that when I saw the trailer. I was like, I don't know yet. It looks interesting. It's the teaser. I don't know what it's going to be about. So I didn't have that same reaction. But I agree with you. I do feel like there's a lot of marketing that's happening for this film. A lot of different integrated partnerships that are happening, and I think the art aesthetic is not bumping people as much as it was initially.
I agree, and I think the only thing that I would say is the fact that it's a live action movie, and I would have expected for a Minecraft movie to be fully like 3D rendered or CGI. I think, but I'm excited. I think I'm the same as you. I'm gonna because I'm not a Minecraft like hardcore player either. I think I'm going to try not to be negative about it, but I'm excited to see the game. And I think something that we have to remind ourselves is also the power of this IP and who the target audience is for this particular movie. I think here they're really targeting the really young audience. This is a movie for like kids, maybe younger adults, but mainly for kids and for their parents to come and see like with them. So I think it's also to remind who was the initial target audience, and remembering also like the power of this IP. So I've got some stats that I got from Business of Apps, but quite crazy numbers. So out of from 2023, there was 300 million copies across platform that were sold of the game, which is massive. And also in China, there is a version of Minecraft in China that out of as of 2024, 475 million times was the app of Minecraft that downloaded. So really massive number, 220 millions generated just from the mobile apps alone. So this is crazy. This is like a huge game. So I think you might have like very vocal negative people, and maybe it's because again, they might be a bit sensitive about what you're doing with a game that they love. But I do think because of the power of this IP, and again, who the target audience is for this movie, my bet is that it is going to be a success. But let's see, it might not hit the mark. Don't know.
I think it will come down to whether the movie is good or not, if it's
Yeah,
entertaining or not, straight up.
yeah,
Because and that's all like with the actors and the filmmaking techniques. And are you along with the for the ride or not? Like
yeah.
you can forgive a lot of visual aesthetics. You can forgive a lot of weird little shortcomings if you're laughing and engaged. And
Fair.
Jack Black is fantastic. So I'm gonna say cautiously optimistic about this film.
Okay, sounds good. A last note on that one. I think what I also appreciated is that they did their homework. So I've seen a few reviews where apparently in the film there's a lot of Easter eggs that if you're not a hardcore Minecraft fans, you might just pass over it. But I think they really made sure that they were very embedded with the culture of the Minecraft community, which I really liked. I think they could have just, used the IP and do what they wanted with it, but I felt like they were really cautious and mindful as well of I don't know, different languages, topics around the game, which I really appreciated that.
Well, authenticity is key, as we know, with these young audiences, so you can't mess around with that stuff. Hopefully, they came correct in the film,
Yeah.
but
And speaking of
yeah, go ahead.
Minecraft, should we go to our real-time review?
Yeah, I think, what are we reviewing today?
So today, for the launch of Minecraft, they have gone, as you said, to town on marketing. And quite interestingly, they also leverage AR, which is perfect for the topic of today, where they've launched several, not just one, but several filters, but also games on Snapchat. And this is what we are going to test today. And there's a bit of a competitive game that has a score attached to it. So let's see how we do.
Okay, I'll see you on Snapchat. Let's go.
Okay, so there's a few filters that Nick and I are trying right now, and one of them is obviously the bee that is a key character in the movie. You also have the iconic creeper as well as the little panda. uh,
I'm a ham for
and
these AR filters. They get me every time. It's like you can't look at an AR filter and not laugh. I mean, it's so simple. They're designed to
I
make you
mean,
smile.
I'm loving the llama, and it's also following your. I don't know what's funnier, is my face or watching you.
Think the llama, as far as the AR filters are concerned, this freaky llama is the move. I think,
I like it, but I also like the creeper because I feel like eyebrows are also moving with it.
and we know
Anyway,
that like it's so valuable for brands when you do an activation. Like, yeah, you can make a gamified thing, but if you can incentivize and give your audience a way to create their own content, you get so much more impressions across all the social platforms in addition to your initial build or strategy.
absolutely.
It's so things like this are hugely valuable.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right. Should we jump on to the next
Yeah, let's play the next Minecraft part of the
game? So
package.
this game, I this is my kind of game. You know what? Where it's like it is really well done. Like it's very reactive as well. And like a very small head tail is like my avatar is responding really well to it. Also, what I really like about it is that it's using the avatar of Bitmoji, which is the avatar of Snapchat, and it's another really interesting platform actually for avatar customization and really used. Oh my god! How are you doing?
I think I'm doing pretty good. I got 12 animals.
That's quite good. Oh my
How are you?
god!
Where are you at?
No, I'm trying to concentrate. Can't speak. I would be, you know what? I would be the worst streamer ever. I don't know how these guys are doing it because I cannot play and speak at the same time. This is probably the hardest part, I think, of the podcast is having to explain what I'm doing. Uh,
Yeah, it's multitasking
oh,
skills.
I can't. I need to focus so hard not to die, and God knows I die.
Getting more difficult quickly. Now it's like you can't get all the animals. You just need to survive. Oh, no! I hit the TNT. I died.
Yes! Oh my God,
I got
I
32. I got 32. Where you at?
was 41.
Okay, that's it. That's it.
Oh, I
A
won!
landslide.
Finally! Can't believe I beat you.
That qualifies as a beatdown right there. That's just real.
And just so that people know,
So that's our real-time review of what Minecraft did on Snapchat to promote the new film by creating all these AR filters and games. What did you think, Alban?
I mean, highlights of the day, I finally won in a game, so I'm really happy about that. But again, I think it's just very smart to see them utilizing immersive media as a way to like promote their films. Snapchat is the perfect platform because the audience is there as well. So I had a lot of fun, and I'm really really impressed by the quality as well of those filters.
You just listened to us blunder our way through augmented reality gaming, and I think you might as well now listen to a top expert. We have Tom Emrich, who is our next guest, who's going to talk about his new book about spatial computing and augmented reality. So let's jump to that interview.
Let's get into it.
So we're excited to have Tom Emrich on the pod today. Tom has over 15 years of experience in spatial computing as a journalist, investor, and product leader. Tom is a pioneer in augmented reality, virtual reality, and wearable technology. And he's the author of the book, The Next Dimension, the definitive guide to using augmented reality for business growth. He's been on CNN, BBC, Forbes, and the New York Times. And I recently saw him speak at South by Southwest. And today he joins us on Brands in Play. Tom, we read your book. We love it. Personally, I'm a huge fan of augmented reality, and I feel like it really is the gateway. It's the technology that's going to help kind of get us to mass adoption of this broader immersive spatial computing space. So excited to jump into it, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about AR with you both.
Awesome. So my first question is, why did you write this book? I know you have a lot of passion for this. Can you explain it to our listeners?
Yeah, in the preface, I talk about a sound that I heard when I was a teen in the basement in my hometown, Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario. And for me, it was the sound of the future, and that was dial-up internet. And that was the sound of that next wave of computing at that time. And I wanted to write this book to kind of sound the alarm on the next wave of computing of this time, which is spatial computing, and to alert the brands, businesses, and agencies that are reading this that that era has arrived, and really allow for this book to be a rally cry to say you need to get involved and to provide you with not only the information, but especially like the data points, the proof points, and examples that could really allow for you, the reader, to create a business case and then bring to your boss a proposal of getting started with, particularly augmented reality, which is one of those technologies in this era. So that's really why I created the book. I'm also really excited about the fact that this book celebrates the brands and businesses and agencies that have done a lot of work, in the past many years, especially with smartphone augmented reality. And so I feel really excited and grateful to be able to be that person that shares their stories and their proof points. So that's the reason why having a book is very exciting for me.
Yeah, I love how you gave credit to all those brands and all those studios that have made some of the best augmented reality activations over the whole history. But it was really cool how you shout everybody out, which I love that.
And I think what's really interesting, like you can really tell that this is a book made for brands, for marketers that don't have maybe a lot of time in their hands. And I think something that I've never seen any like books done before was the integration of ChatGPT within every chapter. You almost have like a TLDR, and you were able to like engage with that chatbot and ask questions. Can you tell us a little bit more about like all of the different facets in the book and how it can be consumed?
Thanks for bringing that up. I mean, look, this book is about bridging the digital with the physical. That's what this book is about. That's what augmented reality and spatial computing is about. But I didn't want the book just to talk the talk. I wanted it to walk the walk for the readers. And so the integration of AI is one way where you can scan QR codes, be brought to a GPT and OpenAI's ChatGPT. That GPT has been trained on the book's content. And it really allows for like this really new experience as a reader to ask questions, summarize, or even, talk to the GPT and say, here's my business. How would you apply my business and the principles of the book to help me get started?
A definitely fully immersive and 360 approach of consuming a book. I read the first chapter in the physical book, and then I listened to the rest in the audiobook. So that's how I did it. But can encourage our readers to check it out. But my next question is all about the audience for augmented reality. Like, I think from your research, tell us who the audience is. I'm assuming it's all mostly younger people, but is that the case? And do you think that will be consistent, or will that grow?
We're going to talk about particular demographics, but augmented reality is being used by so many varieties of generations. And in particular, I'm going to call out, if you use the Zoom beauty filter just to blur your face a little bit, you're using augmented reality. And I think that like spans the generations. I think if we really like deduce like our actions digitally, we find that we're using augmented reality more regularly than we think. That being said, particularly Snapchat has done a lot of studies around the demographics that are really resonating with augmented reality. And a recent Ipsos Snapchat study really honed in on Generation Z or Gen Z, which I think they're now like 14 to 27. So smack dab in having their own purchasing power, which is, really, really exciting for brands. And in their study, they found that, Gen Z, 92% of them have used AR, 60% feel that it makes marketing feel more personal, 50% said it builds stronger connections with brands. And so they're really seeing augmented reality as a new way to have a relationship with the brand. And this has a lot to do with the fact that Gen Z really prioritizes experiences over, even physical goods, and so they're really looking to build memories with each other, really. And augmented reality allows for that. And so Gen Z, I would definitely say, is like a younger generation that is resonating with the technology. I don't think it's a surprise to think that an emerging technology resonates first with younger generations. They don't have legacy thinking that gets in the way of like how to engage with content and computers and brands. But we are also seeing, millennials really lean into the technology. A Harris poll indicated that 32% of millennials currently use AR compared to, 14% of Gen Xers and 6% of baby boomers. So again, multi-generational, but Gen Z, I would say, is like the hero in the story here.
You rightly so mentioned that smartphone are probably still going to be the device of choice for the next decade before we have wearables that are widely adopted. And AR seems to be the solution that is unactionable now as brands are planning for the future. Can you let us know a little bit more about how you think brands should essentially act now, but strategize for future engagement touchpoints when MR is a thing that they can actually fully think about when they are planning their marketing strategy?
Yeah, I love that. And thanks for calling out the smartphone. I mean, we tend to want to talk about headsets and wearables with augmented reality, but the fact of the matter is that the smartphone has continued to become a more and more powerful augmented reality machine with every upgrade. The chips and processors get better. Foldable displays allow for more of a viewing experience for augmented reality. And, there are billions of smartphone users that are out there that you can tap into as a brand. And that's really important. I want to call out a couple of use cases that are in the book for marketing. One is really allowing for the consumer to become a character in your brand world. So the really cool thing about augmented reality is that it intrinsically makes your marketing more personal and therefore more meaningful. Why? Because the person and the person's environment becomes a critical component and ingredient in that marketing content. Therefore, when you use, like, for example, a Snapchat lens or a TikTok effect or an Instagram filter, like, you, the individual, is what is going to make that experience unique. And so that it could be the same lens, but every individual use of that by different people is going to be a different output and different outcome. And so, in the film industry, they're leveraging lenses to allow for consumers to become characters of the movie. We saw the Barbie movie, Dune 2, use Snapchat lenses in this way. And what's great is that it really allows you to become a character in the film. And so you have that deeper relationship with the IP. And then there's this upside of you creating social media content, of you being a Barbie character or being in the Dune movie, and that gets put on your network as a form of UGC advertising for the IP. And that's even more meaningful because now it's the combination of the IP and your friend that you're watching. And so there's like a tremendous upside in using augmented reality to bring your customer into your brand world and then turn them into your brand ambassador, like quite literally, like literally turn them into that character if you wanted to. So that's really, really exciting. The other example that I like is bringing the consumer into your brand world using portals. Portals are really popular. Again, all this is being used with your smartphone camera. The first one, we talked more about the front-facing camera. This is more using your rear-facing camera. A good example of this is during the Super Bowl Pepsi halftime, there was a QR code that was put on screen. Users or viewers scanned the QR code, then placed a portal using their smartphone camera in their space, and they could literally be on stage at the Super Bowl Pepsi halftime, like a seat that you would never be able to get. And so this really allows for your consumer to enter, the experience from the comfort of their own home. In this case, it's really exciting because we're taking something that is relatively passive and consumptive, which is television, and then providing this bridge using augmented reality to forgive me, but like walk into the screen is kind of like how it feels. And so there's something magical about that. I really like that. So those are just two examples. There's many more in the book and many more outside the book that are happening that are quite compelling.
This makes me feel like there's so much success to be had if you're leveraging AR. And it seems like all marketing teams should be, but they aren't. And I guess my question is why do you think that is? And it seems like a lot of the teams that are leveraging it right now are still sort of in that innovation bucket and not in the mainstream marketing bucket.
That's exactly right. We still are in the innovation budget for the most part. I think wide sweeping, look at the industry. Talk a lot about the need to jump that innovation chasm. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that this is still a new technology for many. And so potentially, unlike some of the brands that I just mentioned that have already been piloting and experimenting and therefore building their business case, it's kind of tricky to get started. And it's tricky to get started for various reasons. One is at the crux of augmented reality is 3D. 3D is brand new for brands. And so this ability to create 3D content, to think about space and face and the use of that requires, different skill sets from teams, possibly different agency partners. The creation of 3D content is, still something that is specialized, especially high quality assets. And so the budget can have like a sticker shock in some cases compared to like a banner, for example. In addition, because this technology is a little unknown, it gets relegated to other unknown technologies. So it's competing with AI and blockchain NFTs. And there's so much new things that are happening actually under the banner of spatial computing for the most part. And so there may be folks that are championing AR internally that may have quieter voices right now compared to those that are really excited about Gen AI. And so that's kind of what happens when you're sharing the same innovation budget. How do we jump the chasm? We jump the chasm by showing consistent, repeatable ROI that's measured. And so this is going to need some standardization. I talked about IAB and MRC. This is very important to have apples to apples way to talk about augmented reality's impact. It's going to mean that more brands need to actually demonstrate and play and then tell those stories either internally or hopefully externally. And then, we'll talk about this in just a bit, I'm sure, but I think while smartphone is really powerful, the space tends to get very excited about wearable technology because it is a game changer in the experience. And so thought that once wearable technology is more in the fray, this might be more of a go time for folks when it comes to augmented reality and virtual reality.
That was going to be exactly my follow-up question, but I fully agree with you. Where I think if we want to see more marketers invest in the space, there needs to be a proof that this is also massively adopted. And I think I agree with you. At the moment, I think that it's almost like brands are waiting for the hardware to evolve as well with the tech. And you spoke just before about the limitation, and I think it's something that I didn't really connect on your book, where the phone is still a blocker to you enjoying the moment. And I think you speak in length around the opportunity with connected eyewear to be able to allow brands to really play with mixed reality. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you think the future looks like when it comes to those new eyewear, and I guess the potential opportunity with a wider mass adoption around AR with those new hardware? Sorry.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, I do talk a lot about in the book the headset devices and connected eyewear devices that are available today, and kind of draw some dotted lines. I try to shy away from predictions, having been in the space for 15 years, on exactly what's happening and when it will drop. Specifically because like one of the biggest unknowns is really people. And like when people are ready to adopt and use technology, a lot of social norms need to settle on new technology, especially hardware. That being said, we talked a lot about smartphones, and smartphones are a little bit like a monocle right now. If we think about the analogy of glasses, where you're able to experience augmented reality, you're able to see the world like a monocle in a different way, and it is powerful. Like more people have it, the smartphone, I mean. But as you mentioned, it limits the immersive experience. You're still very aware that you're looking at a blended world through a small little pane of glass that you're holding in your hand. And it doesn't allow for you to use your hand, so it doesn't feel so natural. And so the industry wide is really excited about wearable technology, particularly head-worn wearables. And the great news is that we can live in the future today, because we have mixed reality headsets like MetaQuest and Apple Vision Pro that are virtual reality headsets that now double as augmented reality glasses using pass-through technology. And there are some really great examples, especially on Apple Vision Pro, that I point out on marketers and brands using the Apple Vision Pro to start to understand what this new marketing world is going to look like. And so as these devices get more and more adopted, I believe that there will be much more attention from marketers within the mixed reality headsets. And I talk a little bit about how mixed reality headsets are kind of like the early PC days, clunkier, like more expensive, one per household if you can afford it. But as we saw with the PC, it's going to go along its own journey to be more miniaturized, more affordable, more variety use cases, more powerful. And so I think that there's a good upside and opportunity for brands to get in early now to start to wrap their head around what to do there. And I should mention that those that have already been playing in the smartphone space are even more prepared, because they've been starting to think about 3D in space.
Yeah, that's exciting. I want to talk about the future. This is a fun question. What does the space look like in 5 or 10 years? How do you think people are going to be getting their entertainment? And then how do brands show up in this new world?
Well, I think it's like 5 to 10 years is what? So it's 2025. So 2035. Like what I hope is that we continue to see great adoption of headsets and advancements with eyewear. And so I would expect that more and more content is expected to be mixed reality content, augmented reality content. As I mentioned, the world becomes a canvas for content creation. And therefore, the examples that we talked about of making the consumer a character in your brand world, bringing them into a portal into your brand world, bringing the brand world into their space, I think just gets even more powerful and even more common. And so, like, as an example, I could be watching a television show and then allowing for that to literally spill out of the television, or maybe the television most likely is actually already in augmented reality. It's just a floating pane, as we're seeing the Apple Vision Pro. And I'm more immersed in that space. And that becomes quite common for me to feel more connected and have a stronger relationship to, that show, to that advertising. The things that I think could be quite interesting is to think about how, as a brand, you can show up in this world creation. In our everyday world, advertising is a form of art, and we look around and see brands on the regular singular. And so I suspect that we'll see opportunities for new forms of advertising that look more like product placement within virtual worlds as we start to look around and consistently see digital content mixed in with physical content. And then also this interplay again of being able to look at a billboard and see the billboard with the ad that is the physical ad, and then being able to bring that ad to life, and therefore, not only allowing for that consumer to spend more time with that ad, but also the upside of having digital measurement of something that typically would be very hard to attribute to. So lots of opportunity as this becomes less friction for consumers and more the norm, and more the expectation. I think that's the big word here is that at some point it's going to be an expectation that you as a brand and as a business needs to play in this space. It will become the new mobile, the new social. That's the trajectory that it's on.
I mean, this has been such an inspiring talk with you, Tom, and we're really excited about the space, and I think everyone's bullish. And I would encourage all the viewers to check out the book. Tom, where can they get their hands on it?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. The nextdimensionbook.com has a variety of places, but you can go to Amazon, Spotify, Barnes and Noble, Target. There's a number of different places that have been making it available. So, and please reach out. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the book. And thanks for reading.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, everybody.
Wow. I really enjoyed that conversation with Tom. I think I could have continued to talk to him for ages, but I think if I was just to summarize a little bit what I've learned from our conversation with him is that, mixed reality is not there yet, or at least it's really relying on, the potential of what those smart eyewear are going to be and how the technology is going to be a bit more approachable as well to everyone. But I think there's already a huge opportunity for brands when it comes to AR and leveraging platform like Snapchat that actually are doing quite a lot when it comes to that field. And I think brands can already activate now so they can plan for the future of what that mixed reality could look like. What was your key takeaway from the interview?
So many really interesting nuggets in there in that
Yeah.
conversation, which I responded well to. But I think the one thing that is the most important thing for me was really seeing how impactful some of those campaigns were. Like when you study the results, the type of engagement you got, the type of conversion you got.
Mhm.
And to me, that's the type of data we need to prove to different marketing teams that these type of activations are, you could make the argument, possibly more valuable than the current type of activations that they're doing. And yeah, then it just, my mind starts to go to, well, why aren't we seeing more of those? Like if the data is there and it's like, I would argue that that's money better spent in those spaces. So
Yeah.
that's my takeaway.
I agree. I think it's, scare of something new. Maybe it will gradually just be part of the usual marketing plan. What is your played out this week, most importantly?
What's played out? What is played out?
What is played out for you, Nick, this
For
week?
me, this week, it's like I'm not much of a hater, so having to come up with something that's played out every single week is hard for
Same.
me. But there's enough things to complain about in the world. And I guess what is top of mind for me is just that I'm surprised that there aren't more brands leaning in to marketing in gaming because we're experts in it. We study this stuff all the time. We benchmark it to other standard marketing that's out there, and I just see such deep value, and it makes so much sense. And you know where the audience is going, you know where the intention is going, and it's like it's so clear. But then you have these teams that are like, I don't know if it makes sense for us, and it's I think that this concept is a little played out, and it's like yes, we need the IABs and the Nielsen's, and we need these reports, and we need all this stuff. But I was talking to someone at an IAB event a
Mhm.
while back, and she kind of stopped me, and she was like, At a point, they just have to trust. They just have to lean in, because it's like there's so many reports out there, whatever, whatever. But like what the reality is, the kids are there. They're spending all their time there, and if you want to reach them, you have to go there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's right, but I don't know what type of convincing has to happen because, I'm out of words and I'm tired.
I can understand. I completely understand where you're coming from. On For me, my played out this week a little bit similar actually. I would say so. I'm tired of with. I'm the first one, even with phasing out of cookies. If you want my cookies, I accept. I give my information. I give my emails. I want marketers to be able to reach me and give me proper content. Why do I still get like really random advertising on Instagram or on Google? I don't get it. I don't understand how, with the amount of data that I'm sharing, because I'm in that business, so I am happy for you to target me, take my information, give me the right ads so I can buy stuff that I like. I still don't understand how they get it wrong. So that is my play out. It's misadvertised or misplaced, mistargeting. I don't know how you want to call this. But that is my play out. I don't think it should happen nowadays where I'm not being targeted with the right marketing messaging.
I agree on a couple things. First, yeah, sharing my data. Everyone's so protective of their data. I'm just kind of not. Like, I don't want someone to steal my identity, but like, if I like Meta Ray-Bans and you want to serve me an ad that's telling me about the new model, I would like that. So I'm not I'm not bothered by that. So I'm in line with you there.
Yeah.
And then why are you serving me ad that has no relevancy? That's like the worst. That's like I can't imagine anything worse than that. So that's unfortunate. Yeah, but I'm in line.
This was an awesome episode. I'm so glad that Tom was able to join us. And then next week, we've got not one, but two exciting guests. So we've got Stu Royale and Phil Holbrook, both creative directors at BBH, and they are the creative duo behind the viral Mentos Fizuka on Fortnite. So I'm really excited to have them for our 10th episode.
One of my favorite activations recently is that Fizuka. I thought it was so well done. So we're excited to have those guys on next week. And we just want to give a shout out to Tom Emrich for coming on the show. Thanks, Tom. And thanks to all you listeners for tuning in. Please make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and join the conversation with #BrandsInPlay. And that wraps our episode.
Yeah. See you next week. Edward, read us out.
And that was Brands in Play. Thank you for joining the podcast where we explore immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. Co-hosted by Alban Piyu and Nick Hill. Our show today was produced by myself, Edu Regu, with creative direction by Joey Jeda and Javad Kazmi, and audio engineering by Somran Kiyo. Special thanks to Kristen James Olszewski. Be sure to join us every week for brand new episodes.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views, policies, or positions of host employers. The information shared during this podcast is based on personal experience and publicly available information and is intended for informational purposes only. Any references to specific platforms, companies, or partnerships are made in a personal capacity and do not imply endorsement, partnership, or official association with any organization mentioned.